Okay, what happened? What happened after India got transfer of power and freedom? So, on the name of the caste, instead of removing the word caste from everything, all the documents and applications and everything, in fact, they reinforced and with a kind of vengeance, enforcing it. So it became a method of division and oppression. So the most oppressed class in India, from north to south, I was watching, is Brahmins. So to me, it seems that expansion of affirmative action created dysfunctional nation and fractured the society. So kingdoms were always there, but there was a cultural thread that knitted the whole society. Even Parsis, they adopted the dress, the food, everything. Same way the Jews who came to India long, long back, everyone assimilated and everybody became part of the cultural milieu of the nation. The geographical entity at that time was from Afghanistan all the way to Burma, Myanmar. In fact, even beyond that. So all these names, Mandalay, Shyam, Champa, these are Sanskrit Hindi names. So that thread was broken further. So let us see. So what is in the Constitution? What went wrong in 75 years? The Constitution mandated reservation for a certain period of time, 20 years. And this was only for backward classes and backward tribes, classes and, backward areas. So how did Jati get converted into caste? And nobody explained, just adopted. The British translated 4 Varnas into 4 castes, and then they further added, lumped them, the rest of them as Shudras in the 4th class, wherever they could not find any Varan. And then they equated Jati and Varan together and made it a hereditary Varan, which is not true. So how did these castes have now become 4,400? And how did religion come in the picture? You see, this was not part of the Constitution doesn't say this is for minorities of all kinds. It is specifically for these two. So guarantees for the culturally, socially disadvantaged. This was the main thrust of the Constitution. And this is what Ambedkar also wanted and Vallabhbhai, and it was fair. So Article 334 of the Constitution lays down scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, and some reservation for Anglo-American community. That was just those who were staying in India, who were Anglo-Indians. They should have a voice in the running of the government and voting and everything, policy implementation. And the funny thing is, when you are making a percentage of population, what is the data you are using, right? They use the census of 1931. This probably is very few people know that there was no data. 1941, probably there was no census taking place because of the war. And what happened in 51? No. So they took 1931. In the meantime, many people shifted to the urban areas, and they were no longer in the backward areas. And same thing with the tribes, and there was an upward movement, and they got government jobs, even without these classifications. So this is just the way. And this was very wrong. It was arbitrary. But the lucky thing was people accepted the Constitutional Committee, different committees. They accepted it because it's only for 20 years. They did not know that it is going to follow India and the Indians for the rest of the eternity. So gunas change. So that which changes cannot be hereditary. So Varna. Jati, who gave birth, this is hereditary. Whether it is matriarchal or a patriarchal society, it is hereditary. So Constitution does not clarify this distinction. So to me, it seems that these guarantees, they did not favor Hindus at all. By using the English language, that doesn't mean that you use the word caste also. You use your own words. So English language does not mean that we have to follow their terminology or what their categories were. So this distinction was never made, never even discussed. And the data use was too old. Now, the canopy of protection expands. So historical advantage enjoyed by the upper caste. When did that happen? This nobody discussed. You mention upper caste, and then you say they are historically advantaged. If something ceased to happen from 1000 AD, then what are we talking about? Who were the upper caste? You see, during the next 1000 years, from 1100 or 1000 even, because of the constant invasions, the Kshatriyas were killed and the Brahmins were killed. Brahmins were killed because of their knowledge system. They were the custodian of the knowledge system, and they were ranked as in higher gunas. And who was left? They did not get rid of the Vaishyas. Somebody has to run the trade and commerce and manufacturing and guilds, everything else. So they did not touch those two. So now upper caste. So what do you mean by upper caste? When were the Brahmins enjoy? When did they enjoy the upper caste status? And where are the Kshatriyas? They were almost a few scattered here and there in various kingdoms. And then they in Punjab, the Kshatriya Dharam was revived, rejuvenated by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So which means even at that time, they were for wars and for dying, for warfare. So it is not that they were enjoying a status, they were sacrificing their own self. So soldiers, do soldiers have a upper caste or lower caste? Soldiers are soldiers. And same thing with these upper Kshatriyas. So, by the way, to me it seems when the Kshatriyas were killed in the various wars, first against the Muslims and then the Christians killed en masse, they also killed the Kshatriya spirit. Those who were left as Kshatriya groups in 1947, I don't think they were capable of thinking as a group which can lead to any kind of aggressive initiative or take a stand because of Gandhi. So Brahmins now the most abused group. And then comes this secularism business. Who is a secular? Hindus are seculars. That is why India is the only country where we have 9 religions. I mean, 4 are Indic faith traditions, and 5 are the Baha'is and the Shias and the Sunnis and the Jews and the Parsis and the Christians. All of these are there because Hindu is a tolerant person. Hindu is a tolerant person. Because when you say categorically that truth is one, and people can call it by various names, it automatically creates a infinite set of several subsets. So all of these people are subsets in the same Vedic tradition, which they were, till this ideology-driven faith traditions came from outside. Okay. So secularism is a very strange person. He is a rootless person. He has no history, no cultural identity. I think if you translate secular person, I would call it chamcha of the government. So then on the name of secularism, everything else followed. Minority commissions, ministries, Department of National Human Rights Commissions, and they kept expanding the list, OBC, NBC, this and that. So expansion of the benefits also extended. So not only the canopy, became wider, it became, much larger also in depth. So I call it a vertical expansion and horizontal expansion, division. So expansion of the list, expansion of the benefits. You see, now benefits, not only it is social and cultural, like, giving people preference in jobs and reservation and quotas. It became much larger. You ask it, we give it. You see, in fact, the way things were working in the Congress government, without any reason or any minority asking for it, under the NHRC, they annually would review if there is any oppression, atrocity against the Dalits. That is the word they started using for combining all the minorities. Now, if you are doing that and you spot a random or create a random group of people who you think are subjected to atrocities, then the NHRC would say that the report says that we should have a new minority commission. And then followed this Mandal Commission and Sachar Commission and Saxena Commission. Nobody asked. There was no demand for the minorities that, hey, have a commission and give us more advantages. So the Christians were very happy. Muslims were, these are anas for carrots given to them. And this is limitless. So extension of the time period. Nobody is now questioning what happened to the 20 years, the next 10 years, and the next 50 years. As if now it is integral part of Indian culture. So now my question is, deeply examine, every Hindu should examine this point. When were the Jains or are, were they ever oppressed? Peshwas, Lingyats, Sikh, Jats, Gurjars, spelling is wrong, Gurjars. Were they disadvantaged ever? And when were the Muslim and Christian disadvantaged? Under their own rule? And Christians, when the British India, in British India, Muslims were favorite because they were Abrahamic religion. Now, multiple agency, ministries and commissions, Ministry of Personal, Public Grievances, Pensions, Social Justice Empowerment, Human Resources Development, Statistics and Programming Implementation, Home Affairs, a separate wing is that, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Human Rights, National Planning Commission. It is like an endless creation of a bureaucratic structure. Any one of them can start something in the air, a rumor, and all of them become very active in having commission or having probes and having investigations and blah, blah. Actually, in our Punjabi language, there are very interesting words created by, anybody can create a new word in Punjabi. There is a word, shutri. Shutri is actually the cover of corn, ear of corn. And when one thing is thrown like this, it is called shutri, thrown shutri in there, which is nothing. In fact, you float a rumor, that is exactly the word. So this is how they ruled and crushed the Hindus by subverting the constitution. Congress party's main aim was to win the favors. So even when the Muslims asked for something and they asked them to yield, they moved away 10 yards, the government, Congress party. When they said bow, they did the dandavat, lying down on the ground. When they said that lie down before us, do the sajda, then they were thinking, should I dig a hole and be there? You see, this mentality is created by the constitution, by the Congress government, before that Gandhi, and Nehru was the greatest culprit because he was the founder in the first 20 years, not founder. He shaped the cultural and social landscape of India. So this is, I'm just taking one example, the Mandal Commission. This was in 1979. Socially educated backward classes commission was made. You see, and this survey had no pretensions that they have any academic research. They had no statistics to verify, no data at all. In their own words, they mentioned, they assumed the growth of different castes as a percentage of the total population. Now, in the total population, everything changes almost every day. People move here and there. The backward areas become very forward areas, developed areas, urban complexes. So in the Himachal Valley, for example, how many places are really backward areas? And similarly in Punjab, where is a backward area? And in Telangana, in Hyderabad, these were hubs of major empires. How could they be backward? So this upward mobility has happened since 1931. That it never happened and everything remained constant. And we are taking 27% of that as backward classes, minority groups. Now the word is not used that because it has expanded to minority groups. So using the data pertaining to Hindus, Mandal admitted that, not Mandal admitted, I mean, we find that it was a leap of imagination to identify OBC among other religions too. You see, now Christians and Muslims, they boast of equality. In fact, in the global history books of America, equality, they specifically mentioned Islamic civilization. The hallmark of Islamic civilization was equality of all. If it is equality, then where are the Dalits in that group? And where are the OBCs in that? So these are the things which were created a smoke screen to keep giving advantages. Mandal states, assuming that roughly, this is wrong word, assuming that roughly the proportion of OBCs amongst non-Hindus was the same order as amongst the Hindus, it could be extended to the non-Hindus. That is what he says. By making this conclusion for the entire population, 52% of the population were OBC. So he expanded then the communal angle in the scope of the reservation. Not only Muslims and Christians are minorities, but among them there are minorities. So these are the same religions which have been proudly declaring we don't have caste, we don't have discrimination. We create, everybody is Jesus' child. So unasked for privileges, structure commission of from nowhere came this Rajinder structure, and then came Saxena commission under the NHRC that we should review the benefits. Probably we made a mistake. We haven't given to some classes. And this became a nonsensical exercise from a political and social point of view. The mileage gained by the Congress Party and by the Muslims and Christians, of course, that was there, a political tool, manipulating demographic engineering, manipulating the voter base. And as of now, there are 9 states in India which are where there is Hindu minority. So politics continuously changes dynamics of reservation. This is what I want to say, that not only we got rid of the social abominations, we expanded them. We created a very complicated dynamics of reservation in all sectors. Now this is now applying to public sectors and private sectors also. You see, public utilities sectors. Every 10 years there is census, but that data is not taken. Sometimes that data is not even revealed. In 2011, the government of India did not release the census data, and nobody knows about it. Nobody questioned this point. Nehru to fake Gandhi's, their agenda, their strategy, it was to lean on the minorities, divide the Hindus, and continue forever in power. And then came the foreign intervention. In fact, it is not then, simultaneously. And who would encourage that? Govind Vallabh Pant. I did mention a quote from Govind Vallabh Pant, who was the Home Minister in Nehru ministry at one point. And he encouraged Christians that you should create a Christian leadership among the converted Hindus in India. And one of the priests who attended that meeting, private meeting, he later wrote that what the British could not do, the Indian government has done for us. So after that, nobody can touch these classes, these minority groups in 9 years, except that 10% of the economically disadvantaged groups are earmarked for special treatment and benefits. They have not been able to touch it at all. And then they manufacture some grievance here and there. So a strike here, a sit-down strike there, blocking the roads. And who is engineering these things? The main point is not only engineering, who benefits from this? It was the ruling class, the Nehru dynasty. So caste bonded with politics. This must stop. Wrong translated words and nefarious labels in social dialogue. You see, after two lessons in the local Balkendra class on the social structure in India, in one of the essay competition, the child wrote, Hindu society was divided along creed, caste. And I said to the mother that if this is what you learned as a parent from my two lessons, you deserve a punishment, that your child is still using what is written on Google. It's a shame. What I'm trying to point out is that our mindset has not changed. We still use the same yardsticks. We still use the same terms, and we still use the same categories, and we use the same pressure techniques. So followers of all faith traditions must respect each other as a part of society with the rainbow colors, not to be equated with rainbow colors of America today. Politicians and their mafia groups, they should cease to create a vote bank. So no religious group should allow itself to be exploited by political criminal groups. What was this recent Rahul Gandhi's Rath Yatra? What was it? It was simply a way of consolidating the Muslims, finding out the strength of Muslims in each state. And what was the benefit? That this class is their sure voter, and Hindus we will buy. And that is exactly what happened in Karnataka. And that is what is going to happen in every other state, which is due for elections in the next 1 year, 2 year, 3, whenever. The impact of these distortions and mythical notions and our own faulty mindset is that every problem in India is linked to caste, which doesn't exist, which had no mooring in Sanskrit language, nor in Vedic culture, or even in the oral traditions. So how is every problem linked with that? Because of Brahmins and Brahminical structure, India was poor. First of all, India was never poor. Nobody comes and attacks a cottage where a fakir, a beggar is, living. People always loot and rob a rich person's house. If we were robbed, and attacked, invaded every time, that means they had something to gain, the resources, and even the cultural aspects to be absorbed. So every problem, poverty is linked, social reforms needed, Hinduism is to get rid of, and many Americans in conferences I hear talking that we believe in Vedic Dharma. We don't believe in Hinduism. We did not create Hinduism. Hindu is a geographical entity. Everybody who is living in India was considered Hindu, from Sagar to the Himalayas. So where is the issue? What has that to do with the caste? Of course, Vishesh Dharma is part of the Dharma. But that doesn't mean that Sanatana Dharma has anything to do with the Raj Dharma or Varan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma or any other Dharma for that matter. Ayurveda. The roots are there in the Sanatana Dharma. So international agencies, every day, some Amnesty International, some human rights group, some NGO of international status, they descend in India and casting stones. Two nuns killed in Mississippi. What Mississippi? In one of the states. This is an error. RSS, BJP, Hindus are responsible. I forget where those two nuns were killed. I think it was in Delhi. Luckily, before this type of rhetoric gained momentum, the suspect was caught. So, now this was in Mississippi. So had it happened in India, the headline would have been Saffron Army violating human rights of the minorities, planting false evidence to disrupt life, and all kind of grievances and riots and stuff like that. This point, Saffron Army, referring to Hindus, I think if saffron has become an army, shouldn't Hindu society act like an army then? In Urdu, they say, and that if you have I'm translating, if you got a bad name, it is worse than doing bad things. Bad things are gone, bad name sticks to you. So if you were already given bad name, it cannot be worse than that. What will they say? They already say Saffron Army, Saffron Brigade, militant Hindus, nationalist Hindus, radical Hindus, radical globalism of Hindus. So if you have earned, you got these labels, I would really take whatever comes in my hand and be an aggressive person. You see? बदनाम तो हो ही गए हैं, तो फिर किसी वजह से करो. Be, create a reason for being that. So I would be militant in that case if I have earned that name anyway. So planting false evidence to disrupt life, manufacturing grievances to create riots and cleavages, Christians lure casual tribes, upfront cash, promise of equality. Whereas I have visited India several times, suburbs, at the sea areas. In Calcutta, I was posted. There are vast poverty camps, and all of them are Christians. You see, they were converted. Some of them still followed the Hindu traditions, but they were very poor. They lived in camps. Why become Christian if this is ultimately you are going to be doing the same thing? And the new trick they have done in order to hide that they are converted, they have given them the Hindu first name or Hindu last name. So, like, this guy who started the India Abroad, he was a Christian. And if he said Raju, everybody thought probably he's Hindu. It's not. So, Ahmed Patel. Now, Patel is a Hindu name. If you don't use the word first name, then you are camouflaging the actual section of the converted people, and to what extent the conversion is taking place, so that Hindus can fight back. So Hindus are not in fighting spirit anyway. And then human rights violation in India. India is a pet place where everybody comes. I don't think any American NGO has gone to Pakistan, to China, to probe into human rights violation. India is a soft country. And we somehow or other, we don't mind. Whoever comes, welcome. So foreign NGOs come, getting the hub of the nixes at the game. Modi has done a good thing. he has denied visa, and he has cancelled the existence of all those NGOs who were there without any registration, without any classification, or without payment as a registration fee. They just exist. So religion is another wild card to be played against certain groups to reduce their numbers, to crush their self-esteem, to finish their cultural reaches. So coming to the point, what lies ahead? Because I'm a solution-oriented. If there's a problem, it needs a solution. If you don't have a solution right now, find one. So this is the general thrust, my own way of thinking. Change the criteria. Equality of opportunity and education is fine. Restore the secular values, which means Hindu values. If the grieving people are unhappy, go wherever they are happy. And giving Haji to them and not any benefit, not even making public bathrooms for the other pilgrims going to Amarnath or Badrinath, isn't that a shameful veil on the face of Congress party who ruled all these years? And then on top of that, Manmohan Singh announced that Muslims have the first right on India's resources. Who is he? He did not even fight an election. He represented Sonia Gandhi only. He did not represent India or Indian population. He never fought an election. And he's saying that I understand the pain of the terrorists. I tell you, jokers like that, India had no future at that time. A sovereign nation does not require Western policing, whether it is religion-based or any human right. The task ahead is, first of all, study global context. Where did we not find discrimination? Where there was no bigotry? Where there was no class struggle? Where there was no feudalism? So all of these existed in all societies and they exist today. So macrocosm of interconnectivity will give the global perspective that we are not the people who are abusers or human rights violators. Excuse me. I have a problem. The past of India cannot be dug up and for Western propaganda. So you are talking of human rights today in America, for example. You are not comparing India's past with the slavery in America or slavery in Europe or slavery in Africa. To highlight other people's fault lines along race, color, segregation, and make your own Asian human rights organization and lodge complaints. This is the most important thing. We learn to, there are three things we can do before this kind of initiative: Milo, Juro, and Dodo. First, meet like-minded people, and then connect with them, then create an association and make it an Asian human rights. Let us visit America, let us visit UK. What's going on here, what's going on in the communist countries? You don't have to go there, you won't survive to come back and tell the tale, but at least you can highlight. So offensive is I always have been telling this, better strategy than being in the defensive. In any small group where there are 2 foreigners and 3 Hindus, the moment they mention caste, they go like this. First of all, they don't know what caste is. Then they don't know what was happening. Then they don't know what is happening here or what was happening in Europe and the other countries in the past. Change the paradigm of the dialogue. These two things in 75 years we haven't learned to do. Religion and personal law must not be the basis of reservation. And whatever has been done through executive orders can immediately be undone by simply a presidential order. And then need to de-link it from Hindu Dharma. Finally read the book, Breaking India by Rajiv Malhotra. And then there is an exhaustive report prepared by Rakesh Bahadur that was in, I think, 2015 or somewhere along the line. And I read it several times. And in the book on reservation and even Hindu Dharma, where I discussed social structure, I quoted Rakesh with his permission. And I want that if you go to that site, equality and inclusion. So that is the name, equalityandinclusion.com. And you can get it. It's a lengthy report, 90 pages. But then there are diagrams and graphs explaining everything. We owe this much for our next generation to try to create equality in the eyes of the law and abide by equal opportunities regardless of religion and regardless of our. So we should filter caste from the mindset also. Eliminate, and this was a great eye-opener. Recently, there was a American Supreme Court ruling verdict which eliminated race as part of the affirmative action. And the Chief Justice report, this was one line: elimination of discrimination is elimination of discrimination for all. So if you eliminate discrimination at the expense for one group, at the expense of other, then you have created discrimination for others. Because the pie is the same. If you give larger chunk to somebody, the smaller chunk is left for others. This was really my favorite quote from that. And yes, a must-read report. I forgot the name, Equality and Inclusion, Progress and Development of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes in Independent India by Rakesh Bahadur. The beauty of this report is that after all these benefits and the show of goodwill and redistribution of resources, what is the fate of how far have the scheduled tribes moved up? What was the advantages in terms of real uplift? If there was no uplift, it just became hereditary for some groups. You see that even though the grandfather was a Supreme Court justice, his children ad infinitum will continue to enjoy the status of backward classes or affirmative action, qualification for affirmative action. So possible fallout of reforms, what will happen? Supposing the present political establishment has the guts to move forward, you will have a protest, you will have more roadblocks. But aren't we used to that? Indians are used to that every day. You never know which bridge is being blocked, a toll booth is being blocked by some protesters. Expect allegation from foreign paid press. They will, what will be the worst? They will find some more terms to describe us. And all the anti-national forces. Don't allow these to discourage you. putting head in the sand is not a solution. Putting head in, it doesn't exist. I could have done that and enjoyed my retirement. 1 millennium has passed. Should Indians allow psychological warfare for another 1 millennium? Two choices. Start reforms, others will join. Or expect miracles. Equal opportunity will descend in the form of avatar, and social justice will be some reincarnation of the divine. What are we waiting for? We only have two choices. Wait for avatar and keep putting our head in the sand, or do something. So my suggestion is, while there is guidelines provided by many intellectuals now in the last 3-4 years, 5 years, use those tools, create those groups, and in a way bring out that fighting spirit. Even a mother has more guts than people by and large in India. A mother will tell 100 lies to protect her child because that is her dharma. And we cannot reveal our identity because there will be some castigation or some slur on us, or they will put us down. So what? They put us down, you put them down. And I think that is pretty much clear where this whole business of reservation, affirmative action is going. The whole thing should be rebound to 0 point and then establish new norms. Thank you. I think it was.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, they can unmute and ask.
No questions. No comments. Surprising. Okay.
If there are no questions, then we'll meet in 2 weeks again for
Yeah,
the part 3.
Yeah, that will be a different subject. The status of women and empowerment of women. The Christians have created several, empowerment groups where they break the families. So what was the status before? What is the status now? It will be one session only.
Okay. Thank you, Kamlesh.
Okay, Ji.